The Jazz Spotlight, episode number 2. Hello everyone, Yanni Lunga here and welcome to episode number 2 of the Jazz Spotlight podcast. Today we're going to talk about online promotion for musicians. Today's episode, it's a little bit longer than usual, but I promise you, it's full of tips that you can start to use to improve the way you promote yourself online. Our guest is Bobby Owsinski. He's a music industry veteran. He's a sound engineer, a musician himself, a writer, and is the author of the book Social Media Promotions for Musicians. If you're listening to the podcast from iTunes, head over to thejazzspotlight.com/episode 2, where you will find the show notes that include all the resources and the articles that Bobby and I mentioned on the show. So without further ado, here's Bobby Owsinski with Online Promotion for Musicians. I hope you enjoy it. Hello everyone, this is Yanni Lunga from thejazzspotlight.com. A great guest today here. I'm super excited. This episode is gonna be full of information, so get ready to take plenty of notes because it's gonna be full, but it's also gonna benefit you a lot. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce today's guest, Bobby Owsinski. Hey Bobby, how are you today?
Very well, Yannick. How are you?
Well, all good here. Thank you for asking. So for those who don't know Bobby, I give you just a short introduction. So Bobby is based in LA, he's a music industry veteran, he's a songwriter, arranger, guitar player, keyboardist, and it's probably one of the most in-demand producers and sound engineers around. He has also written for Billboard, for Grammy Magazine, Hollywood Reporter, and a bunch of other publications. What is very interesting about Bobby is his latest book called Social Media for Musicians. And Social Media Promotion for Musicians. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How to craft a good social media strategy so that you can use social media to promote yourself online and bring your music to thousands and thousands of people around the world. So Bobby, the first question I have for you is what do you think about today's ways of promoting oneself? What do you think about social media and website from a music industry veteran point of view?
Well, when I say social media promotion, what that really means is online promotion, because it's more than just social media that you have to be aware of. It's your website, it's your mailing list, it's YouTube, it's everything that consists of your YouTube, your online presence. So you have to consider it all. You can't just think of social media. You can't just think of Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So you have to have a strategy, and that's one of the problems that most musicians don't have. They don't have a strategy. They're online because other people are. They go to Instagram because they hear it's hot, or they tweet because other musicians do it, but they're not sure exactly why or how. And just using these services doesn't necessarily mean that you're promoting yourself. It's two different things. So what I try to show everyone is how to promote yourself, how to promote your music. And it's a different mindset and it's a different way of looking at things. What that usually means is not being as personal, but talking more about your music, talking more about where you just gigged at, where you're going to gig at. It means more interaction with your fans and followers. It means posting pictures. It means posting videos. It means links. One of the secrets to promoting on social media is two things, actually. Always have a link, and the link should either go to your website or it should go to your YouTube channel or a video or whatever. And the second thing would be always post a picture. because it's been found that pictures get 30 to 40% more engagement. And what you'll find is if you post a video, they actually get less engagement. One of the reasons why is people feel that when they see a video, they don't know how long they're going to have to invest.
Mm-hmm.
But a picture, you invest immediately. You invest your time and you're gone. So you find that pictures work a lot better than videos. Not to say that you shouldn't post videos, but they don't work quite as well. So you have to think of your online presence as a total strategy, and that takes some doing.
Mm-hmm.
It all starts with your website, though. Your website is the most important.
Yeah. So for all the Jazz Spotlight fans out there, I told you that this was gonna be a great episode. We have been up for maybe 2 minutes and already plenty of great, simple yet very powerful advice for Bobby. So to recap the couple of keywords for what Bobby just said. Number one, have a website. It's actually pretty surprising to me that there's still quite many musicians, but even jazz clubs or festival out there that still don't have a website. Maybe because they rely only on Facebook, because they think it's free, and anyway we don't need that much to promote ourselves and all these kind of things. But a website, it's very, very important for yourself because of what Bobby said, to keep in touch with people, and also because it's the place where you ultimately want people to go. If, for example, you're selling your music online, or if you're a venue and you have your ticket booking system or whatever, the website should be your cornerstone. So the number one. Number two, have a strategy. Bobby highlighted it very well, the importance of having a strategy. So choosing the right platforms, knowing how to use them, and knowing that use them as an artist, venue or festival is different than use it as a normal person for other purposes that are not promotion related. Number three, the power of visuals. As Bobby said, has been tested that images tended to be more engaging for people. That means that whatever you tweet, you post on Facebook or Google+, try to have pictures and last keyword, links. So again, as Bobby said, when you post something, try to have a link connected to it so that you kind of keep the momentum going, and your message, whatever that is not gonna stop with one tweet or one post, but it's gonna continue, be it a link to your latest EP or to a great resource that you found or to your latest video, something like this. It's very important. So now, Bobby, my first question to you is, let's start with talking about website perhaps. From your experience, what are the key elements that a website for musicians or a music venue or festival must have?
Well, before we get into that, I think it's more important to describe why your website is so important.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you can't rely on social media because you can't control it. You can't control the look, and you can't control the feel, and you can't control what will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the one thing you can do on your website. You control everything, and it's never going to go away. Now, just think about Facebook. How much Facebook changes constantly,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't control that. So, for instance, it was about 18 months ago that if you had 1,000 fans, you had 1,000 likes, you had 1,000 people following you on Facebook. If you posted something, you could reach all 1,000 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you can only reach between 100 and 150, 10 to 15%. And the only way you can reach everyone else is if you promote your post.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay for it. So you can see how everything changed just right there. MySpace is another example. Now, MySpace is still going, even though it's not like it used to be. But if you know the story. Last year, Justin Timberlake and a group of investors bought MySpace, and they did a complete redesign. And without telling anyone, one day everyone woke up to a brand new MySpace. It was a complete look and feel makeover. It was entirely different. But you know what? Everybody lost all of their followers. They all started with zero, even Justin. So that means if you had 10,000 followers on MySpace one day, the next day you woke up and looked at MySpace and you had zero, and there was no way to get them back. That's why you can't rely on a social network. You never know what's going to change, and you have no control over it. That's why your website is the most important thing you have, because you can't control it. So, to get to your question, there are a few things that every musician, venue, everyone with the music business has to have. And, of course, there should be an about page, which gives a brief biography and a brief overview of who you are and what you're doing. It shouldn't be in depth. It should be 3 or 4 paragraphs at the most. There should be a page that has your music, and that should be not downloads so much. It should be links to streams, links to playlists, Spotify playlists, perhaps. It should be very easy to consume. There should also be links to YouTube. So all of your videos are you can easily find those videos from your website. But there's 2 other sections that most musicians, people in the music business, overlook. The first one is a press site. Now, the reason why you should have a press site is if someone is going to review your music or write about you, they have to have all of the facts. Now, one way they could get the facts, one way they can get everything they need to do this is they can continue to call you, send emails, whatever, and bother you, which is now, when I say bother, what that means is when you have 5 emails saying, I need this and I need it now, it becomes a bother for both the person trying to write about you and for you. But if you were to put all that information on your press site, that would make it very easy for a journalist to write about you, someone in the press, a blogger, whatever. Now, for instance, what this should have is an extended biography. So now it goes beyond the 3 or 4 paragraphs that you had in your about page. This is more in depth. It might have bullet points of highlights of your history, highlights of your career. It might have, or it should have, quotes from fans, endorsements. If you're a venue, for instance, it would, be reviews. You might want to put a few reviews up. Pictures, for sure. Want both high and low res pictures. And the reason why is that's the one thing that can tip the balance between you getting press and not getting press. Having a good picture, and I mean a good one, made, done by a professional, really makes a big difference. So you want high resolution ones in case someone wants to use it for print, and you want low resolution ones for online. All that should be on the press site. And again, this makes a big difference in getting reviews, just getting press in general. So all that should be one thing. The second thing that's overlooked recently, not all the time, I should say not recently, is a booking section. And what that should have, if you're a musician, for instance, it should have how to get in touch with you if I want to book you. So if you have an agent, it should have all the agent's details. If you have a manager, it should have all the manager's details. Or if you have both, obviously you should have both of them there. If you don't have either one of those, it should have the easiest way to get in touch with you, and that includes both a phone number as well as as your email address, as everything else. If someone wants to send you something, you should have a snail mail address. All that stuff should be there to make it easy for someone to book you. You should also have, for instance, a stage plot. If it's your venue, it would be, here's how big our stage is. This is the equipment we have, the sound system. This is what we expect you to bring or not to bring. If you're a musician, a band, it would be, this is the way we like to set up. This is our stage plot that we use. This is the equipment that we bring. This is how long it takes us to set up. All of those details can be very important. Not necessarily in every gig, but they can be very important. And to put those things on your website, it's a sign of a professional. It's a sign that you know what you're doing, you know what to expect, and you want everyone to know what to expect from you as well. So that those two things, a press section and a booking section, are really important, and those are the two items that are mostly overlooked by musicians, venues, festivals, whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that one can really hear the expertise coming from your words, especially about the last point that you mentioned. I think that's a very great point that is perhaps not that obvious for many clubs and even musicians out there to put the specifics. So for the club, like you said, what we provide in terms of equipment, what the size of the stage, capacity of the venue, these kind of things. I think that they are really important. And also for all those that are listening to you, now we're talking about website. It might sound a bit overwhelming. One thinks, but I don't have any web development skills. But it's gonna cost me thousands of bucks. It's not necessarily like that. Nowadays, it's relatively easy to get a website up and running. I've written an article. If you go to thejazzspotlight.com/5 minutes, that's a fast and easy to use guide to get your WordPress website up and running completely for free. If this sounds really intimidating for you, you don't want to get your hands dirty, whatever, nowadays it's relatively easy to get someone to do the work for you, be it on websites like freelancer.com or like Fiverr, where you can get pretty decent website, at least for the setup, for $5-10. So those are things that to consider in mind. Either go to thejazzspotlight.com/5 minutes if you want to have a look at our tutorial, or you can go to thejazzspotlight.com/outsourcing101 that gives you some tips about how to hire a developer, where to look for a developer, what you should take into account before looking for someone to set up your website, and these kind of useful things. Now, to go back to your point, Bobby, I've also written about the About page, because that's also something that I think that it's really overlooked. That somehow it's either really long, so like that it takes you forever to read it, or that it's completely missing. And what I think it's probably really important to keep in mind whenever someone gets a website up and running is to think that many of your visitors might end up on your website without actually knowing you very well. So without knowing about where you are, or what your music sounds like, or how to get in touch with you, all this kind of things. So I think it's really important to keep in mind all these great tips that Bobby is giving about, number one, having an About page, that it's really essential, that gives a quick overview about what you are and what you're doing. Number two, to have a press section of your website where there are reviews, where you share pictures, you share a longer, more detailed and in-depth biography. And number three, make sure to have links on how to get in touch with you, be it by phone, email, or both. Is there anything else, Bobby, that you would like to add about website?
Yes, there's several easy ways that you could build your own website. Certainly using WordPress is one, but there are at least 3 other online sites that you could build a website very easily. One is Wix.com, the other is Weebly.com, and the third one is Squarespace.com.
Very true.
And you could very quickly and easily build a site and cheaply build a site through any of those, and they look great. They have great looking templates, very modern, and it's another easy way to do it. I personally don't like WordPress myself. I've one of the reasons why, I mean, it looks really good and everything, but I've always found it very buggy, and I use it for blogs, and I use it for guest posts and things like that. And I've always found that the formatting was a little funny on it. Sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. And then you have to go into HTML to kind of sort it out sometimes. So that's why I've always stayed away from WordPress sites. That being said, WordPress looks great, and there's so many possibilities that you can do with it. There's so many plugins and the like that if you can run it just a little bit, you'll find that it's very useful.
That's true. And also Squarespace, for example, that you mentioned, even though one has to pay, comes with a free trial version. So you have, I think it's maybe 1 week or a couple of weeks to try it out, so you get an idea to see if, how it feels. You can just spend a few hours and see what feeling you get, and if it's really so overwhelming, then you might consider just going to outsource the project to a professional. But then, of course, that might cost you a little bit more time.
My own site is done on Weebly. I moved it last year from developing myself or using a developer. And the reason why was because it was so much easier for me to update. And, by the time, for instance, just in the time I'm speaking the sentence, I could update something that's small on Weebly. It's so easy. And I wanted, that speed of updating. And I have a big site. I have 120 pages or so. So
that's huge.
Yeah, it's a big site. And it just goes to show you the power of these online development tools. That, that they're more than you think. They're more capable than you might think. So anyway, you're talking about the About page. It's I have to say, it's not always very easy to craft a short bio that says what you need to say. And, I write a lot. I know how to do that. And even I take some time to craft some things. So it's not something that you'll sit down and you'll do in 5 minutes. It's something that, will take some time to do well. But really, what you want is just the basics: who you are, what you do, what you specialize in, where, if it's a venue or a festival, where you're located. And this is sometimes overlooked a lot, where you're located. And it makes me crazy because sometimes I'm looking at a festival or a venue and I have to search around to find where they're at. So, and it could be even something like, what town are you in?
That's true. Yeah, definitely.
You don't even find it. But so it would be really nice to have a map for someone to be able to, you want people to come to your venue, you want people to come to your festival. So make it really easy. Put all that information in. It might even be nice to have a location tab, or directions, one of those things.
Yeah.
But, going back to just writing a bio, just keep it really simple. What you're doing, who you are, what you're doing, what you specialize in. And it's sort of like a mission statement. And it might be, where you're going, where you're planning on going, what kind of, if you're working on an album, if an album's about to come out, about to drop, whatever the case, if you're not doing albums anymore and you decide you're just going to cut singles, which a lot of people do, just that, anything that's kind of, that's out of the ordinary, that sets you apart, those are the things that should be in the About section. But, keep it short to the point. And then when you get into the bio, your full bio on your press page, then you could expand on it. But again, you want to keep it just, your professional career. Now, I've seen musicians, artists go back to their 8th birthday party when they said, well, I had a revelation in my 8th party and when I got a guitar, and people don't care about that. So you have to know where to draw the line on that.
Before we move into social media, I have another question for you, Bobby, always related to website. What is the maybe biggest mistake musicians or festivals or venues do online that really makes you want to scream?
Well, I can tell you the biggest mistake. It doesn't necessarily make me want to scream, but the biggest mistake for them is too many pictures and not enough text. And the reason why that's bad is it's bad for SEO, for search engine optimization.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that really helps your SEO is text, because the Google bots can and Google's who are trying to attract, they read text very well.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
Of course, if you have text within a picture, they can't read that. If you have, for instance, a flash movie, which fewer and fewer people are using these days, and that's a good thing. But Google can't read that, so it doesn't do you any good SEO or search engine ranking wise. That's why every page should have somewhere between 200 and 500 words of text, and even if you had 100 words, it's still better than nothing.
Than no words, yeah.
And of course, again, it takes time to write that stuff and to do it well, but it's worth it because, again, if your search engine ranking is going to go from the 15th page to the page number 2 or page number 1, all that's worth it.
That's true. Yeah, definitely.
So I would say that's the one thing. It's concentrating too much on photos, on graphics, and not enough on text.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that kind of makes me crazy is when I can't find things. That's a personal peeve, is when I'm looking for something specifically and can't find it, which, we just talked about. It might be a location. It might be pictures. And this is what, journalists, one of the things that really makes a difference for them is pictures. You don't know how important that is. And good, high-quality pictures can make a difference between you getting reviewed and not getting reviewed. And the types of pictures that you do, here's an inside tip. If you have a picture, an action picture, sometimes you can get a review, sometimes you can get press where you wouldn't have gotten it before. What is an action picture? It's you in the middle of doing something. Mm-hmm. It's you in the middle of playing. Think of Pete Townsend with his windmill. That's a really good action picture. Think of someone jumping. They're on stage. Think of just anyone doing something, and there's some sort of action in the picture. That's very powerful, much more so than just sitting there looking at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of an inside secret. And it does make a difference. There are some times where if you have a great action picture, you'll get press just because of that.
That's very true. That's very true. I like that. So people, remember this tip because it's going to be very useful. Actually, for me, the thing that makes me kind of annoyed sometimes about websites is when venues, artists, festival have social media icons, but the links are broken. So when I want to know more about, let's check their Twitter profile, for example, you click and either nothing happens or you get redirected to another page or the wrong page. And that's something a bit related to what you said about finding what you're looking for. When you have a website, you have to make it as easy as possible for people to find what they're looking for, being information about yourself, content information, pictures, or links to your social media pages. I think that's very important because that can actually make the difference between someone spending more time on your website or getting to know more about you or just changing page and moving on with their lives, kind of.
Yes, but it's worse than that, Yannick, because you'll get penalized by
That's also
Google.
true.
For every broken link you have, you'll drop in your search engine rankings because the Google has 128 different things that it looks at in a website in their algorithm. But the biggest thing is the usability of the website. So if the Google bot finds that there's something that's not user friendly, and especially what's high on that list is broken links. And you will drop down in search engine rankings very, very quickly. So that's something you have to be very diligent. And really, all that's QC of your site. That means you just have to test it. There
That's true.
Really shouldn't be any broken links. I mean, it shouldn't. There's no good reason for it. Well, okay, I'll give you a good reason. So but even so, I can see why it happens. If you were to change something on your site, and let's say you look at the name of a page, and the name of the page, you think, well, I can get better SEO value if I change the name to something else. Well, you can change it, but sometimes you don't change other pages that are looking at it. So I can see why that happens. But even so, you should test it beforehand. So there's really no excuse.
And for example, I use WordPress and there is a plugin. I would put the link in the show notes. It's completely free. And what that plugin does, it scans your website and marks down all the broken links. So it's very useful because it takes just a couple of minutes, so you don't have to manually go through every single page of your website, but you have this plugin that does it for you. And then it's very easy to fix the broken links or to change like pages like where users are redirected. So that's very easy. I will put it in the show notes. Now, when we talk about social media, I think probably Facebook is the place where we should start. So give us a short overview about what Facebook can do for musicians. So why musicians who are not on Facebook should get on Facebook.
Well, it's not as useful as it used to be because of what I described a few minutes ago. At one point in time, you could reach all of your followers very easily, and now it's much more difficult to do. That being said, Facebook advertising is very powerful, and it's not something that's easy to do because it does take a little bit of studying to do, but it is very powerful and it works very well. And this is especially good for a venue, for instance. If you want to target people in near your venue, for instance, you can target within your town, within your area. You can target a certain demographic very easily, or any combination. If you want people between 32 and 50 in an area around the venue, you could easily do that. If you only want people that like jazz, you could do that very easily as well. So because of its nature in targeting, it's very powerful. And I like that a lot. I got to say, that works very well. Other than that, Facebook is a great way to reach that portion that you can easily organically reach. And what you can do with it is to keep people abreast in what you're doing. One of the things about social media, especially social media promotion, is that you can inform your fans both what you just did, what you're doing now, and what you're about to do. So, for instance, if you just did a tour, you talk about the tour. You can post pictures from the tour. If you're on tour now, you post a picture from the venue. You post one from backstage. You post one during sound check. Things like that. People love pictures, and they love to see those things. If, for instance, you hung out, you did a meet and greet you post a picture, some pictures of the meet and greet with your fans. So they get a shout out. Your other fans see that, you do that. You like to engage with them. All that's very, very powerful. And that's one of the reasons why you want to use social media. Another is to ask them questions, and they really like that. So, for instance, it would be, we're going to make a music video from this album. Which song do you think we should base it around? That's one. Maybe it's we have two mixes of this song. Which one do you think should be the one that will go on the album? Something like that. And you'll get really good feedback from people that care about what you're doing. And it also engages them. They love it. They feel much more a part of what you're doing that way. So that's one of the unique factors. Well, it's many of the unique factors of social media that you never had before. And that's why, again, you'll find that people that don't use it with promotion in mind, that just use it, overlook these things. And they don't quite understand the dynamic of how it works within your professional life. So that's one of the things I always try to tell people, that you're using it to promote yourself, and promotion needs educating the people that will hire you, for instance, educating your fans, informing your fans of what you're doing. That's what it is. Informing, if you have a new release, for instance, you have a new video, it's informing them. There's a new video, here's the link. If you have new music coming out, you're informing them. You're not saying, go buy my album, go buy my CD. You're saying, guess what? There's new music. If you like it, here's where to check it out.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And for all those listening, we have written also a short Facebook guide. If you go to thejazzspotlight.com/Facebook, and we have actually also talked about the ads, what Bobby just mentioned. And my question to you, Bobby, about the ads is, how powerful are ads that gives you new likes? Like, what do you think about is it important to get numbers? Like, does having big numbers translate into having engaged fans, or what do you think?
No, likes are deceiving. It's been found that you normally get somewhere just below 1% likes of the people that saw the post. So, for instance, if 100 people saw your post, generally one will like it, and this is for everyone. This, no matter how big or how small of an artist you are in terms of popularity, that's the way that this works. If 1,000 people see it, then chances are there's only going to be 10 or you're going to get 10 likes. So you can't base everything around likes. If you seem to get a lot, then you can say, well, either a lot of people saw this or it was really popular. But if you don't get a lot of likes, you can't really base anything on that either. You can just say that, well, a lot of people probably saw it, and for whatever reason they didn't react to it. But sometimes they react for the wrong reason. For instance, sometimes they'll react to a picture and not to the content of the post. So it's hard to tell. Sometimes they're reacting to the post and not the picture, and the picture is the most important thing. So it's very difficult to tell because you can't quantify that.
And I think it's better to have 100 fans who are loyal and engaged than having 500, 1,000 who are just passive. That maybe, like you said, they put like because of a picture, but then don't actually interact with you, or when you ask for their opinions, they actually don't bother to answer.
Well, that's something that artists don't understand. There's two types of fans. There's your super fans, your engaged fans that will follow you anywhere and will listen to all of your music. And then there's the average fan who's not that passionate. One of the problems that musicians have is concentrating more on the average fan, on the passive fan, rather than on your really passionate ones, on your super fans. And those are the people that pay the bills. Those are the people that are always going to be with you. So you have to concentrate on them. And hopefully there'll be a few of the passive fans that will join them at some point in time. But if you spend too much time concentrating on the passive fans, you tend to alienate your super fans. So, there's a fine line, but generally speaking, you have to spend it on the people that are your most important fans.
Love it. I love it. I completely agree. Laser focus on loyal fans. Just don't care about the numbers. Just focus on the fans and you will get the rewards in the long run. My next question to you, Bobby, is what is or what are the biggest mistakes you see musicians, venues, and festivals doing on Facebook?
Posting without a link, posting without a picture, posting with not understanding why they're posting, what they're trying to do. They're not posting with promotion in mind. I'll give you an example for an artist. This happens frequently, not quite as bad as I'm going to say, but for instance, a lot of people will get too personal, and it will be a lot of musicians will get too personal, and they'll talk about what they had for breakfast this morning or something like that. That most people don't care about. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, and how big you are. People don't really care about that kind of minutia. Now they do care about minutia if you're in the studio and you're talking about the type of reed that you used, for instance, or the gauge of guitar strings, for instance. Your super fans love that. They love that kind of trivia, but they don't care if your toast was burnt this morning. So that's one of the big problems. It's getting too personal, and there should be some sort of personality in it, and people like that human part of it, but you don't want to do that too often, and you certainly don't want to do it to the extreme. And that's another problem I see. You're trying to inform people about what you're doing. That's the big thing to keep in mind. You're informing your fans about what you're doing, what you just did, what you're doing now, and what you're going to do.
Love it, completely agree. And it's actually somehow surprising sometimes how artists put more emphasis on these kind of things, so like the burnt toast, instead of thinking about how to be engaging and promote oneself in a smart way, if we can use the word smart.
Yeah, but yeah, see, I don't fault the artist for that. They just don't know how to use it properly. That no one ever told them. No one ever showed them the way. I mean, that's why I wrote that book, Social Media Promotion for Musicians. It's trying to show musicians and anyone in the music business, it's not just musicians, how to use this stuff and to use it so everyone benefits. So your fans, your friends, everybody benefits. So, and that's, again, once someone shows you, then it's easy from that point. But up until then, you don't know, you're floundering.
Yeah, I agree, and that's also why I decided to write the online promotion toolbox, a small guide that gives you an overview of social media and how to use a website, but at the same time, how to use social media, so the do's and don'ts and these kind of things that we've just been talking about. Do you have anything to add about Facebook for musicians, or should we move to the next one?
Yes, I think let's move to the next one. There's nothing else I can think of that we haven't covered.
Yeah. All right. So the next one, it's really hot at the moment. Probably everyone knows about it. It's Twitter. So, Bobby, what do you think Twitter can do for musicians?
Well, it's exactly the same in terms of what you're going to post as Facebook. If you're getting too personal, no one cares. You can get personal, but you can't get too personal. You can't do it too often. If you inform your fans of what you're doing, that's what they find important. They like to know trivia, but they want to know professional trivia. Unless you're so big and so popular. If you're Beyonce, then, again, you might be able to get away with that, some of it anyway. But it does you no good, for the most part. You want fans that love what you're doing, that love your music and want to engage with it. And if you get into the celebrity aspect, then those fans, they don't engage quite the same way, and they don't engage in your music, and that's really what you want. So, getting to Twitter, though, it's the same thing. You should always post a link. You should always post a picture, and you'll find the engagement goes up. The engagement, again, 30 to 40% higher with a picture, so it's well worth it. Ask questions. Very important. Engage with people when they engage with you, and that's difficult sometimes, especially for musicians who are busy, or with anyone who's busy. That's difficult sometimes, but it's what keeps people coming back.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also to help you if you're really busy, there are tools like Hootsuite, for example, that they allow you to schedule tweets and to schedule responses. So those can also come in handy. Or what do you think?
That's what I use. I use Hootsuite. What I do is post. I schedule all my posts first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I have all my posts scheduled for tomorrow already. Mm-hmm. I know what's going to go out. And if I go on vacation, for instance, or I'm going on the road or anything like that, I may schedule a week's worth of tweets. Mm-hmm. Or a Facebook post for that matter, and I'll do it through Hootsuite. So this brings up another point. There are certain times of the day that are really good for engagement. So, for instance, it's been found that I'm talking East Coast time, American East Coast time now. For instance, you'll find that 8 a.m., you'll find that 11 a.m., you'll find that 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. are very, very good for posting. And the other thing you'll find is that the top of the hour is much more important. So 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And as you get to the bottom of the hour, the engagement becomes less. So if you do 1:15, 2:25, 5:30, you're going to get less engagement than if you do it at the top of the hour. So if you are manually doing this, it's going to be impossible for you to, you're going to lose all sorts of time sitting there waiting for 2 o'clock to come before you can post. So that's why, Hootsuite or TweetDeck, or there's a dozen others, are really important, because you can optimize when you tweet to get the most engagement. And I've played around. I've read those surveys, I've read the research, and I've played around with different times myself, and I've come up with times that I know will work all the time. The weekend is different, for instance, than the weekdays. It's different for your email. If you're going to send an email out, there's different days matter when you're going to send it. So, and different times of the day, and again, what you're trying to do is optimize the number of people that are going to engage with you. So it takes a little research and there's a little bit of education in it. But once you know how to do it, it's fairly easy. It becomes easy to program.
Yep, that's true. I use Hootsuite as well. And because we write about venues and festivals around the world, it's really important to get out tweets at the right time. Because if we want to post something about a festival in Australia, it's gonna be an important thing to do, that it's at the right time, compared to if we were to write about a venue on the East Coast, for example. And for all those listening, if you wanna give Hootsuite a try, or you wanna learn more about it, you can go to thejazzspotlight.com/Hootsuite. It's spelled HOOTSUITE. Again, thejazzspotlight.com/Hootsuite. It's interesting that you talked about the hours, because that's something that really matters. And you mentioned about weekdays, but you didn't mention what are the best times to post on weekends. So now you have to tell us, what are the best times to post on Saturdays and Sundays?
this is what I've found, and research backs it up. 9 a.m. I'm trying to do the mental calculations here. 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m. Everything's a little later on the weekend than it is
always East Coast time, right?
East Coast time, yes. And what you'll find is 5 p.m. is, and again, what I do is I adjust everything so it's on the East Coast time. So, for instance, I will post at 6 a.m. where it's 9 a.m. on the East Coast. And what I've found is that it works very, very well. But again, what will happen is you'll find that if you begin to post in the evening, for the most part, anything after 8 o'clock is essentially dead. Now, unless you're doing a gig and you're posting from a gig, you can do that and you can get away with it, but you're not going to get as many people engaged as during the day. And I've actually found that, after 8 a.m., everything drops off, severely on your posts. It's been found, this is another thing that's interesting. Your tweets have a very short shelf life, about 2 hours at the most, and it's more like a half hour on most of them. So what that means is you can actually tweet the same post several times during the day. You can post it in the morning and one in the afternoon, and you probably will reach a different audience. And this is something I do, for instance. The only thing I'll change is the hashtags in the afternoon. And I may change the copy slightly as well. But you'll find that you'll double the effectiveness and you'll hit two different audiences. And I've never had anyone complain to me that, wow, you're posting too much. It's the same post all the time. I've never heard that from anyone. So you'll find that's very effective. Again, what you'll find is as soon as you get to 8 p.m., it drops off severely. So, that's something you have to be aware of. 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. is kind of like a dead zone for social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. And it's funny because I do the exact same thing. Like, I will also tweet the same thing a couple of times per day. And just like you said, I also would change perhaps the hashtag or the copy a little bit, but the link would be the same.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to one of probably the hottest social media at the moment, Google+. We have talked about Facebook, Twitter, the importance of posting links and posting pictures, and I think that with Google+, that's even more important because of its power. It's owned by Google, so we know that good results on Google+ also have a big impact on results on Google in terms of search engine optimization. What can you tell us about Google+? Why is it so special for musicians?
I think the most special feature of it is Hangouts, and Hangouts on Air especially. Basically the way it works is Hangouts is a video conference that's kind of built into Google+. And you can have yourself and 9 other people on it. They extend it somewhat with a feature called Hangouts on Air, which allows you to broadcast over YouTube. So now you can have thousands of people watching you, watching that particular Hangout. You can still only have 9 interact with you, so a total of 10. But that being said, you can have a lot of people actually watching it. And there's a chat version. There's a chat feature as well. So actually you can interact with people that way too. And I think that's a very underutilized function. And it's perfect for musicians. It's perfect for musicians, first of all, to just engage with their fans, backstage, meet and greets, things like that. It's wonderful for that. From the studio, from rehearsals, anything like that. It's great. But it's even good for small house concerts, so to speak. You can actually get really good audio. There's 2 codecs involved. There's one just for voice, and there's another one that has a wider bandwidth for music. that does sound pretty good, and it looks really good too. So it's something that's very underutilized, and I think every musician should take part in that. I'm still a little dubious as to how effective Google Plus is on the social media aspect. There's a huge number of people on it, but most of them are on it by virtue of the fact that they have a Gmail address. Because
Exactly, yeah.
once you sign up for any kind of Google, well, you need a Gmail address for anything on Google, and that signs you up for everything. So I'm dubious of the effectiveness on it. That being said, Hangouts on Air is a killer app, killer feature. It's great.
Yeah. I agree. I also think that most of the people, or at least when it comes to musicians, venues and festivals that are using Google Plus, is like you said, because they have a Google account, and you can quickly see this by looking at their walls. So maybe on Facebook and Twitter they are really active, but if you look at their Google Plus page, yeah, maybe they post every once in a while, or even they don't post at all. And I like that you mentioned Google Hangouts, because I was gonna ask you about it. For those who are listening, if you don't know what Hangouts on Air and Google Hangouts are, you can watch the video we've posted at thejetspotlight.com/Google+. We have a short guide about what Google Plus can do, and there is also a video. I think it's a really nice video, really powerful, and gives you an idea about what Hangouts can do for you. Staying in the Google realm, after Google Plus, I think that YouTube is where we have to stop by. So we already mentioned YouTube, or you already mentioned YouTube when you talked about the Hangouts on Air that can now be streamed on YouTube. I think that everyone knows YouTube today. It's the number 2 search engine after Google. It's really popular. So why should musicians, venues and festivals, and everyone in the music industry who wants to promote themselves online have a YouTube channel?
It's the number one place on the internet for music discovery. That in itself is a good enough reason. If people consume a lot of, and the younger you get, the younger the demographic gets, the more they consume music from YouTube. So it's really important. I think, if you're to look at some of the problems on musicians' YouTube channels, you'll find that again, it's kind of a lack of SEO knowledge, and it's very, very easy. Actually, I'll give you three hints, 3 inside tips on how to improve everything on YouTube. Just looking at your videos, for instance, the first thing is how you title the video. And the video should have a very, very clear title of the song, and you also should have the artist's name in the title. It's very important. And it's important so Google can find you. Don't forget that YouTube searches, it's basically a Google search. There are more YouTube searches than all the other search engines combined. So it's really, powerful. So you have to be able to play to it. So if you're doing a cover song, for instance, and cover songs are a good way for an up and coming artist to get in front of more people, what you should do is you put the title of the song, you put the original artist that made the song popular, and you put yourself or whoever the current artist is doing the song. All 3 of those have to be there, because there are a lot of people that will search for the original artist, and then they'll also find you. So that's one thing. You have to know how to title everything. The second thing is the description, and the description is very, very powerful, and it's something that you'll see a lot of artists not post anything. So, for instance, the same thing applies as on your website. The more copy you have, the better off you are. What should you have there? Well, who played on the tune? Who played on the track? Who's the producer? In the video, if it's a straight up music video and there are actors, who are the actors? Who's the director? Who's the producer? All of those things are important because people may be searching for those people and your video will come up. Definitely have a link, at least one link, and the link should go back to your website. But you might want to put links to social media as well. If it's on a video, you put a link back to your channel as well. Now, they can obviously find it in other places, but make it easy for them. So all of those things are very important. The third thing is how you tag the video. And here's a little trick that most people don't know. Of course, a tag was going to be, what kind of genre is it? So it's going to be jazz, but you might say it's smooth jazz. You might say it's bop or, whatever. But if you tag the mood of the song, it's a sad song, it's a happy song, it's whatever, you'll find that a lot of people do searches for that. They're looking for happy songs. And you're going to come up in that search. It's very overlooked. And believe it, again, it's people that are doing searches. That's who you're trying to reach. New people that are searching. So just doing those three little things when you're posting can make a big difference in the number of views you have. This is a big subject, and we can talk for a couple hours just on this. Believe me, I've done a lot of experience.
But I actually like that you mentioned, especially the tag part, the last one, because I actually have never thought about the happy song, sad song kind of thing. But it's true that people search for things in different ways, and to add the tag sad song or happy song literally takes maybe 10 seconds, but that's something that could lead into a lot of traffic. So that's very good. I liked all the tips, but the last one I think is the one that it's probably no one knows about it, or very few people know about it. So thank you for sharing it with us. The last social media I would like to talk with you about is Pinterest. So we've talked about the Facebook, Twitter, Google+, then we've talked about the videos with YouTube. Now let's go more into pictures, into Pinterest. So what do you think about Pinterest for musicians? Is it a useful tool? Is it something that people should just leave to other people?
It's useful only if you have a lot of fans that are on it already, or you're already pretty well set in the other social media platforms, and you feel comfortable in those, that you have those covered. I wouldn't put it as a primary social platform to use unless you find that you have a huge fan base that happens to be there. Now, Pinterest has changed over the last few years. When it was first introduced, the majority of the users were young women that were getting ready for their weddings, just had a wedding, having a baby, just had a baby, things like that. So that was the majority, and it got a bad rap because of that. But now it's changed, and there's a lot of other types of program on there, content on there, and it can be very powerful because pictures are very powerful. What would you put on there? Well, if you're a musician, you'd put pictures of your gigs. You'd put a picture from every venue, for instance, that you're gigging at. It would be private pictures, behind the scenes pictures. It would be pictures of your tour, of maybe the countryside, or just anything like that you might think that your fans are finding interesting. If you're a venue, for instance, it would be the people that have played your venue, providing you can get permission. It would be, what your venue looks like, for instance, has it changed over the years? Did it look one way 5 years ago and it looks different now? Things like that. It would be not only the inside the venue, the outside the venue. How much is that changed, or, what are the features of it? Festival is the same thing. Who played at the festival? What does it look like? What are the people like? Pictures of the audience. especially if they're having fun. Things like that. So it can be very powerful. It's telling a story with pictures. You have to think of it that way. You're not just posting pictures, you're telling a story. So for instance, the way it works is you essentially divide your pictures up into what they call boards, pin boards. And what it really is a folder that you put designated pictures into. So again, it might be one that just has venues, and another one that's just, behind the scenes, and another one is meet and greets and things like that. So it's easy for your fans to see. But again, it can be very powerful, and it's easy once you set it up to keep on putting pictures in. But I wouldn't spend a lot of time there unless you have the other platforms and you're very comfortable in the other platforms first.
I like it, and I actually use Pinterest quite a lot because I like the boards idea. So I have a board dedicated about jazz venues, one about jazz festival, one about playlists, one about visual, so when it comes to logo, posters of festivals. So I like the fact that it's really easy to set it up, to sort out different folders, and that people can easily share the pictures that you put. So to repin, it just takes a click. So it's something that I think it's pretty powerful, especially if you put links in the description. So for example, I happen to put links to articles that features those pictures, so that users will be redirected to the website if they click on the link. So also in terms of traffic, I think Pinterest is a pretty good tool. Now, to wrap it up, we have talked about so many good things. Bobby, you have given us plenty of very useful advice. I just would like to wrap it up with a very, very quick tip for all the topics we have talked about. I will quickly go through them, and if you can just give one tip that people should really focus on. So about websites, what is the number one things that musicians, festivals and venues should focus on, if you could choose only one?
Yeah, that's tough to just choose one. Probably have enough copy on each page.
Yeah, to put text and not only get too excited about pictures and videos. Okay, number 2, Facebook.
Always post a link and a picture.
Number 3, for Twitter.
Well, it'd be the same, but with the additional caveat, the same meaning, always post a picture and a link, but time your post so they hit the optimum number of people.
To check the time of the tweets. So as we said, you don't have to do it manually. There's plenty of tools out there, mostly free. You can try Hootsuite, the one I use and Bobby uses as well. If you go to thejazzspotlight.com/Hootsuite, you can get it for free and try the free version. Or if you want to take it to the next level, you can also try the pro version of Hootsuite. Okay, Bobby, what about Google+? What is the number one tip for Google+?
Learn how to use Hangouts.
Hangouts, yeah, really powerful. What about YouTube?
Always put enough copy in the description and a link.
So make sure to focus on the description and not just get too excited about having the video up. It's true that even after you've uploaded a video, you can always edit it. So if you already have videos on YouTube, make sure to go through what Bobby has talked about and check that everything is in order, in particular the description. What about Pinterest, Bobby?
I would say making sure that you have your boards differentiated. So each one is categorized so there's a difference between them.
Yeah, so that it's easy for users to find content. It's really easy. It's like going at a restaurant and knowing that the desserts are in the dessert section and appetizers in the appetizer sections, and know that everything is just mixed up together and can get a bit frustrating. What is the best way to find you online, Bobby? If people would like to learn more about you, where can they find you?
BobbyOwsinski.com. That's BobbyOwsinski.com. BobbyOwsinski.com. There's links to my YouTube channel and also my blogs. I have 3 blogs that I write for every day. Every weekday, I do a music production blog that's just about audio, music production.
Mhm.
And I also do a Music 3.0 music industry blog every weekday. And I write for Forbes, giving an overview on the new music business twice a week as well. But you can find all of those links there, as well as links to my coaching programs and books excerpts.
That's just incredible. Like you're so busy doing so many interesting things, and for those that are listening, we have the link to Bobby's website in the show notes. So from there you can learn more about Bobby and all the great things he does. Before we wrap up this episode of the Jazz Spotlight podcast, I would like to ask you a little bit about your book, Social Media Promotion for Musicians, because we have talked quite a lot about social media, but we haven't talked much about your book. So would you like to give us a short overview about the book? We will have a link also. We have also a link to the book for those who are interested in, but what can you tell us, Bobby, about it?
Well, it's for not only musicians, but everybody in the music business. It's for engineers, producers, songwriters, artists, bands, music executives. And it's about your online presence, not just social media. It's how to use your online presence, which includes your website, your mailing list, and everything else, social media. It's how to use it to promote yourself, not just to use, but to promote yourself, and promote yourself in a way that, again, you're informing your fans of what you're doing, what you just did, what you're doing now, and what you're going to do. And there's a way to do it that works very well, and it's what I use myself.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all tried and true methods that are in there, and that's the premise of the book. That's what's in the book.
Okay, that's really straight to the point. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're a musician, engineer, you run a venue, a festival, make sure to have a look at Social Media Promotion for Musicians by Bobby Owsinski. Bobby, thank you so much for being on the show, for sharing your knowledge, giving us tips, telling us what works, what doesn't work, and thank you again for everything that you do, not only for musicians, but for all the people in the music industry. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Yannick, for having me. I appreciate it and I had fun.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, I hope you liked the episode with Bobby. As I told you, it was going to be a little bit longer than usual, but Bobby had so many great tips to share with you, so we couldn't have done it otherwise. Okay, so now you heard the tips, you heard the biggest mistakes musicians do online. You have all the links and resources mentioned at www.thejazzspotlight.com/episode 2. So now it's your time to take action. I'm Yanni Lunga. This is the Jazz Spotlight podcast. Thank you for listening.